Hey, Mom.
Yeah, what's going on, Don?
Um, Sunday, I'm supposed to go over to, you remember Bill, my friend Bill?
Yeah, he's the one whose parents got divorced.
Yeah, and he had to move away. But his aunt still lives here, and his aunt has invited them back there for a like a
Oh,
after Christmas party
he's going to
on
be in
Sunday.
town.
And so I was going to go over there and just going to kind of party there with my friends and Bill and them.
Wait a minute. The day after Christmas?
Yeah, the
You
day
know,
after
we
Christmas
always go to
Sunday.
your grandparents the day after Christmas and get
Oh, well,
together with.
I mean, I can, I can skip that. I mean, it's not that
No,
big a
no,
deal, you know.
this is something we do every year. You can get together with your friends later on another day, but
But,
this is something we do every year, and you
but Bill
know
won't be
that.
here
You
every
shouldn't have.
day.
Well, how long is he going to be here? You can work around this.
This is the only day he said he
You're
could do
still
it.
part
So
of
I
the
just,
family. And as long as you're living under my
it's,
roof, you're
it's
going to
so
follow.
boring. Going to grandma's. This is so
Well,
boring.
that's,
I don't need to go to
well, you were part
grandma's.
of this family and you're going to go to your
I
grandparents
don't
and you're
want
going
to
to
go to
figure out
grandma's. I'm not,
another time to go
I
to
don't
your
have
friend's
another time.
house.
My friends are, this is the only
Well,
time I
I
can get
am
together with them.
sorry, but this is what is going to happen. You're going to have to figure it out because we do this every year.
Well, this year can be different, Ken.
No,
There's no reason I have to go to grandma's. It's boring. They don't really care.
this is
Uh,
your family, and family is important. You have
Oh,
no idea how important family is. Someday you'll appreciate your family when your parents are getting older and you don't know how much longer they have. You've
I
got to
don't,
learn to appreciate these things now.
I don't lay that guilt on me. There's no reason to have to go. They don't really care. They don't pay any attention to us
Don, I'm not
anyway.
discussing this
Uh,
any further. I've got to get dinner going.
Fine.
We're going there and you're coming with us.
So, hello. This is Don,
And this is Gina with Focused Healthy Family.
and this is podcast number 90.
And today we're talking about listening to kids' feelings, engaging cooperation, and the wonderful skill of problem solving, which we obviously did not use in that example.
And today, instead of doing a sponsor, let's talk a little bit about what we've got coming up.
So we're doing these examples because they come from the exercises that go with the book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. The authors created this program where parents could get together and learn the skills and practice them with each other and to have these new tools as a better means of communicating with their children.
And it's a cool process because we have parents, couples getting together. We usually have somewhere between 8 to 12 people on this, and it's a chance we role play, we do exercises, we go through content from the book and talk about how to use it, 'cause this book has such great steps in it on how to.
Do you have the book, Don?
Yes, I do. Should have got it beforehand, sorry.
So when you sign up for the class, we send you a copy of the book and then also the workbook, which we have access to because we've done the training to facilitate this workshop. And there's just some really great information here. And each week we cover a different chapter in the book, and they're really very simple and straightforward. Yet, just by using these simple tools, it can make a difference in our communication with our children. And therefore, they're listening to us as well as having a better connection with our kids.
Building a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 6 week course. It's a 2 hours per week, but what we do is we split it between 2 days. So it's a 1 hour session twice a week. And what we have found, the results that come out of it are what amazed me. And I think uh, we see even after like a week or two of the classes, the parents come back and they see a difference in the behavior. They see a difference in the anxiety around the house, and of course it helps their communication. So it has a threefold result to what the results of the class.
So, what a great investment for you to spend at the beginning of 2024 to spend just 12 hours of your time, plus a little extra time, doing the
Homework time.
exercise, the homework, but it's very minimal to be able to really focus on this. We get people that come to our workshops who've read this book before, get some of the concepts of it. Many of these concepts are in other parenting books as well. And yet it's a real concrete way to just be with other parents, practice these things, go through examples. We even try to incorporate a specific example of someone's dealing with a particular struggle. And these could be anywhere from young kids through teens, even young adults. And how we communicate, it's an ongoing thing with our family. And no matter where we're at in the journey of wanting to make a difference, wanting to have a better relationship, we can start there.
So join us. You can go to focusedhealthyfamily.com/workshops and find out more information there, and you can register at that point.
And so Don, my teenage son, in the example, came to me wanting to get together with some friends the day after Christmas, which is traditionally the day we've gone to grandparents' house. I'm just kind of making up this fictitious scenario, but something that could be very plausible at the holiday season or even any other time of year. And so, how can we do this differently? So, we're just going to step back and redo the conversation.
Hey, Mom,
Yeah, what's going on, Don?
you remember my friend Bill?
Oh, yeah, he's the one that didn't his parents get divorced?
Yeah, he had to move away. He was not
Oh,
real
yeah.
happy about that.
Yeah, you haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, and he's back in town though. His aunt lives here, and his aunt has invited their family back for a Christmas party here on Sunday. And so I was going to go over there, and my other friends are coming and joining in on that day. And we're going to just kind of party there with my friends and see Bill, which is really cool. I can't wait to see him.
That sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like you're looking forward to spending some time with your friends.
Yeah, yeah, I haven't seen him in I think it's been about a year since he had to move away.
Huh. The challenge
What?
is that's the day we usually go to your grandparents' house on your dad's
Oh,
side,
forgot about that.
and some of the cousins come over.
I guess I don't need to go to grandma's.
So I know your friends are important to you, and yet I also feel it's important that we have this family time because we don't get to spend time with your grandparents and your cousins that often.
But it's not that important. I mean, grandma doesn't really pay much attention to us, and almost seems like she doesn't care if we're there or not.
So I realize it's not very exciting going. We've been doing this for a while, and you haven't seen your friend in a long time, and that you really would like to be able to spend the time with your friend.
Yeah, yeah, because like I said, I haven't seen him in a year, so I was just gonna go over there and spend the time with him.
So I feel it's important that we still get together with our family. I don't, your grandparents are getting older. I know your grandmother doesn't engage as much. She's got some dementia. Yet it's important to me that we have that time together and that we're all there.
I don't I don't see the importance of being there. I can go to my friends and I mean we see grandma she's here so I mean we see her once throughout the year sometimes and stuff. So I mean, I can see her another time.
How about we come up with some problem solving? Let's figure out what the other options are. We're talking about going to your grandparents or not going at all. Do you think we could just sit down and come up with a list of other ideas? Because I'd really like us to be able to be together with them on that day. And I know you also want to get together with your friend.
As long as we can figure some way for me to see my friends because I don't want to
I know
miss
that's
this opportunity.
that's really important to you, and
Yeah.
you'd be really disappointed to not be able to get together with them.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's real important.
So I'm just going to write down some of our ideas. And what we're going to do is let's just come up with ideas. Let's just kind of brainstorm.
Okay.
And I'll write all the ideas down. And let's not stop anybody's idea. We'll just write them down and then we'll go through them.
All
You think we could
right.
do that?
I
Does
guess.
now work for you, or
I guess
is
so.
this a good time?
Good as any.
All right. So you'd like to go get together with Bill and your friends and not go to your grandparents.
Yep.
Okay. And I'd like to see you find a different day to get together with Bill.
But I don't think, I don't know. Well, okay, we'll wait. We'll talk about it.
What are some ideas here? So we get together at your grandparents at 2 o'clock. What if you spent 2 to 5 at the grandparents and then went to Bill's house?
It might work, but I don't remember. I mean, my friends usually kind of meet late. They were talking like 3 o'clock. So,
What other
I
ideas do you
mean,
have?
what if I just go till like 3:30 or something?
So your thought is to go from 2 to
You know, say
3:30
hi, show my face.
and then head out. So right now we don't have an extra car for you to be able to
Oh,
go.
maybe Dad could take me at when this run me over. They aren't that far from Grandma's. I mean, it's probably a 20-minute drive, so maybe Dad could, or maybe Grandpa would be willing to take me. Then I could spend time with Grandpa as we drive over there,
All right, let me write these ideas down. So grandpa takes you to your friends.
even though it's a little scary riding with Grandpa.
And so you spend about an hour and a half with the grandparents.
Is that, yeah, that I guess.
So
I mean, I'd only miss maybe about an hour or so with my friends. So I guess
let's,
that's okay.
well, what time are your friends getting together?
They said about 3 o'clock, so
For how long?
I don't think they put an end to it.
Okay.
I mean, whenever we get together, we're out late anyway. We go out partying somewhere.
I thought you were going to Bill's house.
Well, yeah, we go there and we have dinner or whatever, and then we talk for a while, and then we go out do stuff.
So we have a couple different ideas. We have going to Bill's at 5, going at 3:30, having your grandfather take you, so you have one-on-one time with your grandfather. What other ideas can we come up with?
We all go to Bill's because you were
We
friends with.
all go to Bill's house. Everyone. Okay, I'm writing it all down. I have another idea.
Okay.
You could go over your grandparents early and maybe even help out with setting things up and then head out about 3:30, so you have a little extra time with them and we have some time all together.
When you guys come over later?
To Bill's,
No, to Grandma's. Are we all going earlier?
there's lots of different options here, aren't there? So we've kind of gone through them a little bit. What do you think of the idea of going a little bit earlier?
That would probably be okay, because then maybe I can get there at 3 when everybody gets to
You
Bill's.
know what? I need to contact your cousin, John, because maybe he could pick you up and you guys could both go and you could help your grandparents
Well,
and your
John's gonna be there.
aunt and uncle out and do some setting up. And then that way you get the ride there. We'll come over later. You can take our car. How's that going to work?
Well, I thought you said John would pick me up.
How are we going to get home? Well, John will pick you up and bring you to your grandparents.
Yeah, and
But then
then
how are you going to go to your friends from
what
there?
does so we see the grandpa. Maybe John could even take me. And John knows Bill. He could maybe even want to say hi to him too.
Okay, so you're going to ask John if he could take you to your friends and then someone of them can bring you home that evening?
Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's a problem.
All right, so we're going to reach out to John. Do you think you could go ahead and call John and ask him
I guess so. I
or
haven't
text
talked to him
him?
in a while. I'll text him.
All right, so how does this feel? That you're going to go a little bit early, help out your
I
grandparents.
can help him
We'll have
out. Yeah.
you can hang out till 3:30. Do you think you can
I
stay
thought,
till 3:30?
well, if I'm gonna be there early, why can't I go at 3?
We're not getting there till 2. Sometimes your cousins are a little late.
Okay.
You think you could make it work till 3:30 since you said you're probably going to be out late with your
Yeah,
friends?
I guess so.
So this is our agreement. We're agreeing to this. Does this work
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah, it
And
works.
you're gonna reach out to John.
Yeah, I'll go call him. I'll
All right.
text him right now.
All right. And so then at dinner tonight, let's firm this up that you got a hold of him and that we can make this work.
Yeah.
And I'll reach out to Aunt
Okay.
Betty and see what things you and John could do to help them out.
Okay.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Oh, it's so nice being a teenager again.
So ad-libbing here, one of the things that I did in the beginning was accepting your feelings, talking about your feelings that you really were looking forward to your friends, that you'd be disappointed if you couldn't get together with them. Did you get a sense of feeling heard in that second part?
Yeah, that was yeah. It was interesting as I got it. Well, especially when I got the first part of this when before we got into the podcast. I actually started getting kind of angry. I mean,
When
I
we
could feel
when we
the
played through the scenario
the
without
bad
using these
scenario or whatever you want
skills,
to call it. Yeah, I really felt it. You know,
you felt angry. How else
yeah,
did you
kind of.
feel?
I could feel the kind of probably what I would have felt when I was a teenager. So it was kind of interesting. And
Okay.
we've had people tell us that in when we're doing these workshops when they do the role playing, we've had more than one tell us that they actually felt they could really feel the feelings of it. They could really feel what their kid was going through or what their child was going through, and
Especially if
that
it brings back some memories from your own childhood
yeah
and something you might have gone through to kind of really put yourself in your kid's shoes
yeah yeah
and play out that role. And yeah, it's very helpful, especially when we work with families in a group and someone has a specific example we work on. We often invite that parent to play the child in the role
yeah
play so that they really get a grasp of, what it might be like from their end of things.
yeah.
So, kind of what other differences did you notice between the first time we played it out with just reacting to the situation and
Well, and I don't know if I did this correct, but I felt calmer. It didn't raise me up to want to like flare back at you necessarily, raise my voice. In other words, at the other one, I felt like more like kind of not yelling back, but just getting a little louder, you know.
I felt like I was talking over you constantly the first time around, that we were both talking at the same
Yeah,
time.
which is not unusual. I mean, that's because we as parents we're ready to fix or solve and we want to just spit it out. We don't want to wait for them to finish their sentences.
And to be honest, I had to really think about what I would say because I was all ready to do the problem solving because this is something. If I was in the moment with an actual child of mine dealing with this, it might have had a little more heat to it.
Yeah.
But I had to really okay, you just
Well, and we gotta let the audience know that was ad lib. We didn't write. This wasn't scripted. That we didn't script this down before we went on. I
no,
mean, I think
no,
you wrote a few notes, but I didn't
right.
write any notes. So we were kind of putting out as based on what I guess our own experiences and stuff. There was nothing that was pre-planned on how we were going to respond, or except that we were going to do it in a not effective way and in an effective way, which is what we did. Which
I don't know if I disappeared, but there's a call coming through.
oh
So in when we do this in the workshop, the initial part is talking about the child's feelings and needs, and then talking about your own feelings and needs, which I did, saying how important it was for me that we have time together with the family, with your grandparents being older, and then the brainstorming for a mutually agreeable solution, write down all the ideas and then go over them together. And the way it is in the workbook, it's very this step, then this step, then this step. Yet when you're actually having a conversation with a kid, especially an older kid, it kind of wasn't as clear cut, right?
mhm.
We were problem solving and meshing ideas before we even had kind of listed out all of our ideas. And I continue to try to let you feel heard with reiterating what you're saying and understanding the importance of what you had to do.
Well, and for the audience to understand that that we had to take the butts out of it in there, and you know I wasn't here paying attention to in the first round, but I'm pretty sure you were using them, uh, if not. verbally they were, understood or whatever
Implied,
that.
yeah. So when you say, well, you want to go to your friends, but you know that you
But
can't
then,
do that because we got to go to your grandparents
yeah,
versus you really want to go to your friends. The problem is we've made this commitment to get together with
yeah,
family.
or as I see it, or
The
yeah,
challenge, I think I used that phrasing when we actually did the role
the
play.
challenges, yeah, yeah,
And so how can we meet, and there was a lot of different aspects of that that had to occur as far as cars and driving and who's going where and when. And we didn't even kind of go through each and every one. But when you talked about grandpa bringing you to your friend's house, I'm like, well, then he doesn't have time with the rest of the family if he's out doing that. So that didn't even come up because we had already come up with another solution in the meantime. And so it's messy, right?
yeah.
Communication is messy. But by having these skills and going back to, okay, this is what they're feeling. If they're still really upset and getting mad, okay, they don't feel heard. That's a cue for me to stop. And okay, how can I really listen? How can I set aside all my stuff going on in my head and be like, okay. And the other thing is, in that scenario, you came up to me as mom, and maybe I was in the middle of doing something.
Yeah.
And so maybe it wasn't the best timing. And maybe it's a matter of, you know what, I'd like to work this out with you. Give me an hour to finish what I'm doing. Will you have time then? Or do we need to talk after dinner so we can come up with some ideas for this?
Versus you meet, the child coming up to him and you're baking or something, and you give one of those answers of, not now, I'm busy. Can't you see that I'm busy? You did, don't interrupt me now, kind of thing. Having a response like you just said is a much better, because all of this is about, do you want to, as our wonderful tagline that I really love is, do you want to have a 15-minute conversation or an hour battle, or an hour argument? And that's the difference here. Even, or in the instance of this, the first thing we did, the not effective way of doing it, it could have either led into a long argument or it could have been a storming off. And I almost want to put the sound effect of a door slamming.
Mm-hmm.
The child just runs off and says, forget it. I don't give a crap. Yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah, you just don't understand, mom, and whatever, and
Yeah.
walking
Or
away.
the parent doing sometimes the parent doing that, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, so yeah, that's a big part of this is really making a conversation out of it so that you don't build anger, you don't build resentment. You build a relationship with it, that the child knows that they can come to you with any kind of situation and that you'll handle it in a better way.
And it's important to practice this with simple things that don't have as much weight, and because then when something really difficult comes along, you've got some tools and you've got some practice with approaching things in a different way. Because when we don't listen, when we shut our child down, when we tell them no, you can't do that, it really makes a block in the communication, and then they don't feel like they can come to us, they don't feel heard when they're just saying what they're saying and you're going off in your rant about how important family is, right? They don't feel heard, and they just sit in that anger, and they can't even step outside of that to see what's important to you. And we got to remember, even kids who are teens or young adults, they're still not full grown adults. Our brain continues to develop and develop higher level executive function skills until our mid to late 20s. And where they're at in their life and what's important to them is very different than where we're at and what's important to us. And it doesn't make their concerns any less valid than ours. And we have to really step outside of ourselves to see that. And especially busy time of year, whether it's holidays, you've got lots of things going on, people coming in from out of town, you're having to travel or go places, shopping for presents, any kind of extra preparations, all this that you're extra juggling adds extra stress, makes it harder to stop and set aside time for conversation. And so it's important to build in those opportunities for the communication as well, having a movie night, or better yet, a game night where you're playing cards and they can maybe bring up things in a relaxed manner. Because, when you say, we've got to talk about something, I'm going to talk to you in an hour. And or you need to be home at this time because we have to discuss this, that sets up this, oh my God, I'm in trouble. What did I do? And they're not coming into it in a positive, open-minded fashion. Mom's going to yell at me again. And so,
Or you get the what the when your father gets home kind of thing. That can be in that same kind of realm too. That the dreaded. I didn't have that as a kid. I don't know if you did.
no,
But I do
my
know.
mom was the disciplinarian.
Well, yeah. Uh, but yeah, I know friends that had that situation. And the father was the one that would come in and do the disciplining of the child kind of thing.
So thinking about your relationship with your child, and you can, maybe your kid's 17 and you're like, oh my gosh, they just tune me out all the time. I've not used these skills. It's too late. Is it too late?
It's never too late.
Even you've worked with adult clients who've had wanted to repair the relationship with their adult children,
Mm.
clients who have adult children. And we can always improve communication and shift things. And it can look differently depending on how long you've had these different patterns in your life. Yet, in the end, what's more important, that this exact thing happens the way you want it to, or that you're building a relationship with your child, that you're making a connection so that um, they will come to you when they need it. And also, as we're getting older and our kids are getting older, them being there for us, right? I'm in the middle of helping my parents. My dad's been in the hospital and my mom got sick too. And I was stepping up to care for them, right? If you are had such a relationship with your parents that you don't want anything to do with them as they get older, you know, as that parent, you're setting yourself up for having nobody there to be there for you. And so thinking about it in the long-term perspective, or we use the line, how you speak to your children today shapes their future and yours. And that's what I mean by it is it's as we age, hopefully we do live a long time and our kids become adults and they might need to step in and help us out. And what kind of relationship do you have with your kids? And how does that play into things? Because things get more complex as we're all adults and having separate lives and people are making assumptions and it just adds to different tensions in a whole different kind of way.
It was interesting. Because this, like you said, this idea of listening to feelings goes into any age, goes into adults as well as children. Because I mean, even in business, I find it important to be able to listen to even to have somebody's feelings because what they're coming at you with a lot of times may not be about you. It may be something that's happened that day or whatever. But I was talking about caregivers, and I was reading this book, Caregiver 101 by Mike Collins. Somebody introduced me to him, and he gives just 101 tips for caregivers. And one of the things that he mentions in here, he says it's the 5-5-5 rule. Will it matter in 5 days? Will it matter in 5 weeks? Will it matter in 5 years? And so to tell whether it's worth going through an argument for it, or should you just be able to work through it or let it go, I guess. Anyway,
Yeah, kind of prioritizing. It's like with little kids, if you say no all the time, then it doesn't have any meaning anymore. But, thinking about they're running in the street, they're going to touch the hot stove. What things really warrant that no? And so with battles with your kids, what things really matter, like you said, in 5 days, 5 weeks, or 5 years. And, there's nothing wrong with letting your kid know, I know it doesn't seem important to you, but to me and your grandparents and your cousins, it matters that we're have some time all together. And right now we live locally. I'd like to make that happen. And there's nothing wrong with you letting your child know
how important this
how
that
this
is,
important this is and what
your
your
feelings.
feelings
Yeah.
are about it. And, you don't need to lay the guilt on. Well, if you don't go, then I feel as though you don't care about us. No.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of going against their character too. You don't want to go, well, you're stupid for wanting to do that, or that.
Well, even that, well, if you when you don't go, then to me, you're saying you don't really care about your
Yeah,
family and versus,
it's important to
It's
me
important to me.
to see the family,
Right.
and it's important to have us together, possibly, if, stuff like
And you
that.
can leave that extra stuff out because it's not serving anything. They're a teenager right now. Of course, they rather hang out with their friends than their grandparents. I mean, we need to be realistic with that, right? And they're not going to feel the same in 10 years, maybe, or, but where they're at in their life right now, that's what's really mattering. And so,
Well, it was interesting working with a client this week, and it was a dad, and he was talking about he's got kids under 20, and he said that right now they just don't get me, and they'd rather do things with their friends, or that, and he says, I don't know, I'm hoping at some point they'll start realizing that I'm not as dumb as they think I am, or something like that. And I said, well, I've seen it in myself with my oldest child now, who is 26, that's starting to look back at me that I'm not, that there's more to me, that I know more than they do, kind of thing, or whatever. So I think, we move out of the teen years, we start to, during the teen years, we see parents as, uh, we don't see them as that they're that smart, or that,
it's part of child development. They're
yeah.
growing and they're gaining their own independence. And so they're seeking their own ideas in the world and their own value of things. And so there's a little bit of a sort of a rejecting of the parents as they discover what's important to them and what matters to them. So it can look like, not wanting to listen to the parents.
Mhm.
And it kind of makes a difference on what kind of a relationship you have and
Yeah.
how you're used to communicating with them. But it also has to do with brain maturity
Yeah.
and their executive function skills and their ability to, see the bigger picture. And some of that is just time and life experience and growing and different things that happen that bring perspective. So hope you've enjoyed this example today, and we would really love for you to join us in our upcoming workshops. The next one is going to be, you got the dates there?
January 9th, starts January 9th.
So 9th and 11th, is that Tuesday
Yeah.
and Thursday?
And then every Tuesday and Thursday for the next 5 weeks after that.
So for 1 hour, starting at noon Eastern time, from noon to 1, we'll meet. We meet via Zoom. We've had people from other countries come in different
Yeah.
parts of the US. And it's a small group meetup. It's an opportunity to get to know other people a little bit and practice these skills with each other, kind of learn some new things, talk about the challenges that we experience.
Well, not to feel as alone as a parent, that you're the only one going through this, because then you start to see that other parents have gone through a lot of the similar things, and see how they handle it, and it's a really kind of a fun experience too. We've always had a kind of a fun time with it as we're learning these things too. So
And every time we lead one, it helps me re-engage with my children. It helps remind me of different skills as our children are aging, because now they're 14, 21, and 26. And so over the years, things change. And as they grow older,
you adapt it.
things are shifting with them and how we communicate.
And that's
So
the thing about this book. It's written for children, but it's pretty easy to adapt that language and the ideas around it as they grow and change. So, because it's different as an adult how you would communicate with them as they would as a child. But
the principles still hold
yeah,
true.
that's the neat part about it.
And you can practice it with your partner or a best friend. If you want to join the class, we love when couples come on, but it could be you join in with a friend, or if you can just come on yourself, but reach out to us. If you can't attend this next upcoming one, but you're interested, let us know. We'll put you on our list for the next workshop we will be doing.
Or if you have a group that you can get a bunch of people from your group that want to be part of it, we can do a workshop for your group.
We'd be happy to focus it around teens, or if you have, a bunch of other friends all dealing with teens or children of a similar age, or you all participate in a certain activity together, let us know, because we'd love to bring that to your group. So be sure to check us out at
FocusHealthyFamily.com
Join in.
/workshop.
Join in for our other podcasts, the blogs, everything else we have to offer.
Tuesday tips. Every Tuesday we do a short podcast that just gives an effective tip for parents.
And you can receive that via email as well. You can sign up for that. right on our website. And hope you have a wonderful, happy holidays this year. And remember, how you speak to your child today shapes their future and yours.